For me, being an African-American woman and seeing deaths like Breonna Taylor, George Floyd, and countless other senseless murders at the hands of officers is very dwelling on my self-esteem to be a contributing member to society when it feels as though society does not want me to be here or others that look like me.
Institutions addressing what's going on right now, they're not doing enough. They're literally not doing enough. I feel like a lot of HBCU schools in general, companies in general, are just sending out these censored messages of solidarity and all these things, and they don't mean it, or they're just doing it just so they won't get bashed, you know?
While I feel completely overjoyed and totally liberated that social media has enabled us to bring so much attention to George Floyd's narrative and amplifying his voice, in the same breath, us as a Black community has added to the continual erasure and invisibility of not only Black women, but Black trans lives, and that's not okay.
We have every right to be angry, emotional, fed up right now, but we have to remember to keep peace and love in the center of our hearts. We have to love ourselves. We have to love each other. We have to really just love on our people right now, because that's what's going to keep us pushing forward and moving. And we are all in this fight together. And we all we got.
During this time, I think it's important to help out in whichever way works for you. If you can donate, sign petitions, call in, text, or protest, but just make sure that you're doing something that helps the cause.
Oddly enough, I feel hopeful, and for me, I get this hope from a scripture that comes to mind for me is 2 Corinthians 4, verses 8 to 9. It says, "We are hard pressed on all sides, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not forsaken, struck down, but not destroyed." And I feel as though, especially during this time, amidst everything that's going on, amidst the craziness, amidst the fear, amidst all else that has been taking place, amidst the disenfranchisement, I still have this hope, because I know that despite it all, I'm not destroyed and we're not destroyed, and that Black lives do matter.
Welcome back to The Conversation, an hour-long special here on NBC4. I'm Matt Barnes here at the historic St. Paul A&B Church, leading one conversation here.
And I'm Darlene Hill, of course, at Way Down Yonder, where we're eating and we're talking about the unrest that we're watching right now. I'm going to step out of the way and continue the conversation that I've been having with the four gentlemen here. Like I said, we've got gentlemen from different generations, and we've been talking about the system and have Black men ever been able to trust the system? We talk about Trayvon Martin. We talk about Sandra Bland. We talk about, of course, lynchings and picnics that went on where, of course, Black men were on display, only to be hung, while picnics, tablecloths were set out. You feel differently, Adam Troy, about the system now?
No, I think past is prologue, and it would be a mistake for us to assume that because the players have changed, that history has changed. Kenny and I were talking earlier, and we were just talking about, as Black men, you just always feel like it's the United States versus you. The important thing is that you walk into a situation with your eyes wide open. So I think for the average Black person out here, right, particularly men, we understand that the deck is already stacked.
But we see what's going on right now. We see how everybody is coming together around the world, of course, fighting for that racial justice, fighting for reform, fighting for change. Are you, though, and you said this earlier, hopeful, and it's not just about George Floyd, it's for all of the others. Somebody said you're even reaching all the way back to Emmett Till days.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that Mr. Floyd simply became the straw that broke the camel's back. This has been mounting and mounting and mounting. And again, as we talked earlier, America finally got to see the covers pulled off of it in live and living color. And when something is so painful and so impactful that it's undeniable, older Americans are having a difficult time justifying that to the next generation. And that is the pain and the push that you see behind the movement at this juncture.
Okay, Kenny, let's talk about the conversation that you have with your 9-year-old son. Not something that's pleasant, because you said he's been very emotional. He was going to join us today, but this is even too hard that your 9-year-old son can't deal with.
Right, and you know, as a father and as a parent, you know, you want better for your kids than what you had, and you want them to be able to experience the joys of youthful bliss, and you want them to have a better life. But the challenge is, when you have to have these types of conversations, you rob kids of that innocence. You rob them of that youth. You rob them of, I don't see color, I only see things. And then to have to expose, well, hey, you are different, because there are some things about you that people are going to prejudge, no matter how good of a kid you are, no matter how great your grades are, no matter how respectful you are, there is still an element out there that's going to judge you, and it's for no fault of your own. So it's tough.
So while laws will be put into place, reform may happen, how do you change minds and perceptions? And how do you not black men, but what do you say to the generation that just graduated from college?
Yeah, I was just talking to my young Morehouse Lions earlier, and I think we all agree that it takes both the pen and the sword. And historically what has happened, it's typically been one or the other, in large part because America is great at putting you in the box. And when we talk about the pen has to happen at the policy level. It is the piece that happens in C-suites at the executive level, right?
Right.
The sword happens on the street. And so these guys have to make sure that we are pushing the toggle board together at the same time. I have the utmost confidence in them because we're from the same institution. And as they know, Benjamin Mays always said, above the heads of her students, Morehouse holds a crown that it challenges them to grow tall enough to wear. They're going to get there.
And Julian and Xavier were talking about how voting is so important. That's going to be the key as well. Not just every time, it's every 4 years when it's time to vote for a president, but the local level as well.
Well, yeah, we'll be holding voter registration, and not only voter registration, but voter education. But, I feel that's one side of it, but I think it's also about the perception of us in media, and also the perception that's shown to us through our peers and through the imagery. So I think when you talk about people bring up things like black on black crime and not understanding the historical significance and the historical background of these communities, you don't really get to understand why we're painted like this, and you don't understand the causes of it.
Okay, Julian, thank you so much. We're going to have, again, he's having a protest a little bit later on this week and on Saturday. We'll make sure you get that information. And we're talking about, of course, the mental health. Go to our website, NBC4i.com. We've got a list of resources where you can talk about if you're looking for a job, if you're looking for somebody to talk to because you're just not okay, especially with everything that we're seeing, the pandemic, of course, the looting that we're seeing, the rioting that we're seeing, things like that. You need somebody to talk to, NBC4i.com. Matt, back over to you at the church.
Yeah, a lot of great resources there. Thank you very much, Darlene. You'll notice during these conversations, we're not talking to politicians or the police chief or even city council people. We're talking to the people that are in the community, and that's for a reason. But we also know we have to hold those people accountable for change to happen. We talked about Deontay's store being looted and the change you want to see. Well, the mayor stopped by your shop. What did he talk about, or what did you talk to him? What did you ask him for to help see that change?
Well, initially, obviously we talked about the store initially, and then it kind of transitioned into what can we do? I believe that we first saw, mention of his Citizens Review Board for the police department, like somewhere around January before all this COVID and everything started to take off. So my question was, where are we at on that? What is his thoughts and things, and how does he feel about it? And, are we actually pushing forward with it or not? And, I got a very good conversation back. I don't think that a lot of people understand how much is controlled by the FOP, how we have to ask the right questions or ask for the right things from that department. And, even relations, like at the end of the day, we have to repair relations between the community and the police force. It's not going to take a who's right or wrong. It's going to take us collectively working together to get some things on the table. So that was our conversation, and I'm hoping that we can continue that.
It's a great conversation to be had, and I'm glad the mayor had it with you. Heather, let's talk about the police. There's a bit of a rift with some of the protesters with the police, but we also know that's a conversation that needs to be had, a healthy conversation and communication with them.
Yes, at the end of the day, a police officer is a man behind the badge. He is still a man, and he should be treated as such. He should not be treated with any disrespect, because at the end of the day, he took an oath to provide safety for these streets, and that's what we need. And we don't want, like Deontay said, we don't want it to be you versus us. We want you to come together and know that they are parts of our community, and we need you.
I heard one policeman I was talking to today say it's okay to be pro-black and pro-police.
Right.
It is. It's okay to be that. You know? And there are a lot of cops that are just like that. It goes beyond just local politicians, though, and the police. It goes to the national level as well. From what you're seeing on the national scale, are you encouraged?
Somewhat, but I also think that there has to be. I don't want to get lost in, oh, look at these cops, they knelt with us, or they walked with us, or, they danced with us today. My best friend is a cop. My stepson, his father is a cop. So, yes, I do know that there are good cops out there. But there are also not every black person is bad, too, but yet we're getting our head bashed in. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. So I think that, like Deontay said, the conversation is there, but we've been having this conversation, it seems like, for forever. It has to, police need to police themselves. Yeah. I think the quicker that we can get rid of the bad apples, as some people would like to argue, there's just a couple of bad apples, the quicker we can move forward. But at the end of the day, I remember talking to my best friend, and I asked him, what's the scariest part of your job? And he said, just making sure I make it home at night. Yeah. But think about that. That's the same thing for a black man. So we just want to make it home at night.
Yeah. Mark, how much of this is just about accountability?
I think that's everything. We've been looking at all of the videos, and this is not just the video from George Floyd. I mean, videos going back years, going back to even, Trayvon Martin's case. We've seen a ton of different videos about people just not being held accountable, and that's the biggest thing we need. At the end of the day, if we have people that are there to keep other people accountable, we don't have to worry about even employing the community review board that we're talking about now, because it won't be necessary. So if we can figure out how we can make sure that these officers are also holding those other bad apple officers accountable, then we can easily move forward with change.
Completely agree. It's a conversation that needs to be had with the community, the cops, the politicians, and it's good to see that's happening in Columbus, but sometimes change just takes a while, and we just want it to be done a little faster. Let's hear more from some more voices here in our community.
Class of 2020, you have the monumental task of eliminating racial discrimination, bigotry, and bias, not only in this country, but around the world. And as you continue to fight for justice and equality, teach the class of 2021 what you have learned. And the class of 2021 will do the same with the class of 2022.
It's something that's been affecting this country since it started. I mean, we need equality right now. I got 3 kids at home that are mixed race. I'm mixed race myself. It's not just about one thing, it's about everything. It's about all of us. As I'm sitting here looking at all these people, this is Ohio. This is Ohio. All these different colors, different religions, everything. So we need to stand up and make a change happen right now, and that's what's happening.
If you're black, a traffic stop could result in an officer on the news asking for forgiveness. With his paid leave of absence and backhanded apology telling your mother that he's sorry that she gave birth to a statistic, even though the dash cam footage shows the unarmed black man getting beaten black and blue until he put that red eye on him and shot till he was dead. So either I'm colorblind or my color wheel was dyslexic, because since when did mixing black with blue make so much red? Stop the violence.
Right now, I am thankful that I am being able to witness history that I believe is going to make a change. And I am thankful that I am able to witness people from all different races, ages, come together to create a change. And I think that's what I will remember and take with me forever.
I had the chance to speak with the retired Columbus City school teacher, Jesse Jackson. Now, he's also my former teacher at Warner Ridge High School on the city's east side. He says a lot of what he's seeing right now reminds him of the civil rights movement. He says black folks are sick and tired of marching over and over and over again for the same thing. He says something has to give, and it has to give right now.
Watching that brother with his on the ground and those guys just walking around watching that happen, that pissed me off more than anything else.
Retired Columbus City school teacher Jesse Jackson watched with the rest of the world in horror as George Floyd took his last breath when Derek Chauvin, a white police officer with the Minneapolis Police Department, pressed his knee on his neck for almost 9 minutes as other officers sat back and did nothing. Jackson says social media is really exposing a lot of the injustice that's happening between the black community and police that otherwise would go unnoticed. Reminds him of the 1960s.
When I was growing up, TV was starting to show things on the news like police sicking dogs on protesters and you know, fire hoses on protesters and the physical brutality that they were dishing out on protesters was starting to come to light on TV. So the nation was starting to see the things that had been undercover for so long.
You know, I've had conversations with other people around your age group who have had to witness a lot of riots, the dogs being, you know, released on people and all of this crazy stuff that happened then. And they're almost like they said they're reliving it now. Does it feel like you're reliving it now?
You know, I've gotten to a point where I think we got to stop marching. And I don't think, you know, we've been marching for 60 years, you know, and it hasn't really got us anywhere. And we have to get smart enough to know that there's some other things that we got to be doing now if we want to make a change.
Some of the feedback has been negative. People judging or saying, this is crazy what they're doing, they should not be doing this. In your experience, your life experience, what do you say?
Well, I'm gonna start by saying that there's a difference between the rioting that went on in 65, 68 in Cleveland and across the country then and what's happening now. You know, back then we burned down our own neighborhoods. You know, you know, I remember in 68 that, I guess it was I just remember it being late in the summer, like in July, and watching the corner of my street on fire. And all those businesses that were up there were being burned out.
But today, the demonstrations moved from black communities to downtown businesses.
It's just a way of being heard from a group of people that haven't been heard. You know, that's our voice right now. So what we get out of it, I don't know. But I know that at least they'll hear us, especially now that we're burning up somebody else's neighborhood. To the mayor, you know, take heed. Now you see what you got a group of young people with a lot of energy, a lot of fire, and they brave. And I think if he doesn't sit down and respond to them and listen to them, it's going to get worse.
But until then, Jackson has a direct message to black people still in the fight for equal rights, equal opportunities as white Americans.
Growing up, at our time, it was always 110%. You got to do 110% better than everybody else if you want to make it.
Something my grandma always told me, we got to do 110%, work 10 times harder to advance in the white world.
We're at a tipping point, and I think that we have to work together. I think those corporations that are making a commitment about racism has to really make that commitment and really take action. And I think taking action really will give us an opportunity to make change. I don't think we can talk anymore. I don't think we can just have conversations about it. I think we really have to dig deep down in and take action. And we have to put things in order. We have to take steps, and maybe baby steps, but we have to start taking steps towards eliminating systemic racism.
This stuff has been building up for a long time. We knew that this was coming eventually, and I think it's not going to change until we have justice. We need change in police. We need to defund the police, and we need to look out for each other, no matter your socio-economic class, your race, your height. We need to look out for each other, and I think that this is potentially the first time that we're being heard.
So many times in our neighborhoods we hear, I am my brother's keeper. Now it's clear that everybody else is trying to keep us, and of course we appreciate that. I kept saying looting and rioting while we've been talking today. I apologize to our viewers out there because I do know that there have been so many peaceful protests going on. So I'm going to end this with Kenny talking about just how optimistic, how hopeful you are that so much good is going to come out of this.
I do think there's a lot of good that's going to come out of this.
A lot of pain.
A lot of pain, yeah, and I won't minimize that, but I think good will come out of this, because as I was talking with these gentlemen over here, you know, we may have gone to different universities, we may have pledged different organizations, but we share a common goal and purpose. We're not going to be the generation of our parents. We are going to come up with solutions to go forward. And so I think the good that will come out of this is we will be aligned, we will unify and unite, and whatever differences we may have had in the past, those are all gone now. The world is looking at us now and how we're going to respond and react.
Kenny Marshall, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Adam Troy, what do you have to say about going forward and how you will make sure that your kids, your grandkids, your great-grandkids won't have to march like this?
Yeah, I think it starts in the individual homes, and so you have to model what you want them to see. So, in fact, on Saturday, I'm having a conversation with some of my business partners, right? All folks who don't look like me. And we all trust one another, and so I would encourage everybody to do that.
And will it be real? Will it be raw? They
Absolutely.
can ask anything
Absolutely.
without...
That's the trust factor. We've known each other in some cases 10 to 20 years, and so when that call came, it was almost like they were waiting to exhale. So I'm super excited about what I think is going to come out of conversation, and I'm encouraging my kids, these guys and everybody else, have the conversation with your own spheres of influence, and then challenge folks who don't look like us to have conversations with people who we'll never come in contact with.
Adam Troy, thank you. Julian Turner, let's talk to you. Just because you just graduated, you're getting ready to get a job and get on out here. Are you feeling optimistic going out into the world? And how will you drop some of the fear of being able to just not, a fear of the police?
I think I'm very optimistic. I don't necessarily have a fear, but I think there's the optimism comes from the level of transparency that I think we're having now because of technology and because of the boldness. I think there's a level of boldness from our peers that we're seeing that's allowing us to be able to make change. And so I don't necessarily have a fear more so than I've always had my whole life. So I'm optimistic about moving forward and using my voice for a change.
All right, Julian, thank you. Xavier, let me get your thoughts, your comments going out of this.
Yeah, I'm optimistic.
And having this kind of conversation.
Yeah, I think this conversation is necessary and needed. I think for time and time, you know, there's been this ideology of like progress, and I watched like a documentary on James Baldwin. He talked about this idea of progress in '89, and he said it took my mother's time, my father's time, my grandmother's time, you know. And this is my question also: how long do you want for your progress, America? And I think now what we're doing is coming together. It's trying to jumpstart this change and this progress that we want to see for our kids and for our grandkids, and so we can make this place a better place.
All right, thank you so much, Xavier. Xavier just dropped James Baldwin on us tonight, and I got to throw out my favorite quote by James Baldwin. Not everything that you face in life can you change, but nothing will change until you face it, and America is being forced to face it now, right now. Matt Barnes, over to you.
Darlene, that leads me to my quote too, is our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Well, this matters to a lot of people, and it should matter to everyone, frankly. Let's get some final thoughts from our panel here. And Deontay, let's start with you. Where do we go from here? What changes need to be made, and what have you seen that makes you think that's going to happen?
Well, I believe that it's two-phased. I think that we need to see our change with our leadership, like you know, from the governor to the mayor and so forth. I think we need to see tangible goals set, and we need to see the plan of action of how it's going to be executed. And then the second phase is from our people. We need to make sure that we're not splintering off into different agendas. I want to see a unified front. So you know, if we're going to continue this fight, we're going to continue this action, we need to make sure that we're not making two of the same groups that are both looking to gain the same momentum. Let's go ahead and form them into one.
This feels like the civil rights movement of our generation. Heather, how do you feel about that in terms of what's the progress we need to make here? What can we do?
I definitely agree with that. So I feel like we need to get out and vote. We need to exercise our rights that we know of. We can go ahead and vote. We can go ahead and go to our community meetings. We can go to our council meetings and make sure our voice is heard in the right way and have the right channels look at it.
I always say voting is the ultimate protest.
Yes, it is.
And I saw you registering people to vote. I'm proud of you. Steve, again, as someone who's got a platform on the radio, I know you have a chance to reach a lot of people. What do you want to tell the people today?
I continue to use my platform to let people be heard. I want our voices to continue to be heard, regardless of what your standpoint is. But the biggest thing is that I don't want this to become a trend. I don't want this to be another hashtag that gets buried when I don't want to wish that, but if a celebrity dies next week, then we forget about this, or the corona spikes or something, and then this gets buried into a second or third news story, and we forget about it. So I just want our voices to be heard, and it's just keep the momentum going that we do have.
You know, again, I know we've talked about, you know, the rioting and looting and violence on television, but Mark, there's a message here, and here's your chance. Again, what progress do you want to see seen in Columbus and frankly the nation?
I think it's a combination of what everyone has said so far. Like I said before, we have to have a relationship with the police officers. If we don't, then they're going to continue to stop us for no reasons at all. They're going to continue to do things that probably shouldn't be done. We have to vote, like she said, because there are people that we can get into office that are going to be powerful and really get our message across. And then we have to do our part. At the end of the day, if we're going out and doing things that we're probably not supposed to do, then people are going to want to get more attention to us. If we can figure out ways to do all three, I think we'll see the change that we want.
Thank you guys for being here. I'm going to throw in one more thing. It's nice to see all the diversity at these protests and all these allies. I want people to know that they can't just be non-racist. They need to be anti-racist. They need to step up. They need to speak out when they see racism within their families, within their communities, whether you're white, Asian, Hispanic, whatever it may be. Can't just be us. It's got to be all of us.
And it got to be genuine.
Exactly. It's got to be genuine.
They don't come out there for a photo out there.
I completely agree.
Genuine.
Yeah. I mean, Blackout Tuesday was nice, but let's get to the action behind it, if you know what I mean. Right. Deontay, Heather, Steve, Mark, thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us once again. Again, NBC4i.com/The Conversation. We have resources there for you to check out, everything from, again, how to register to vote, how to contact your local politicians, your local law enforcement. Change can be made, but it's going to take all of us to make that happen. Darlene, it's been a great night.
It has been a great night because it was a real, raw conversations with, like you said, so many of the people that are impacted by some of the stuff, some of the violence that happens out there on the streets. And like you said, this is not the first time. We're committed to continuing the conversation at NBC4. And I got to give a quick shout out to the owner here, way down yonder, Yonder Miller. Thank you for joining us. And thank you, everybody. Let's keep the conversation going on our social media platforms and hit us up on our website, NBC4i.com/The Conversation. Good night, everybody.